Hello and welcome to the Geeky Brummie podcast. Joining me today, as per usual, Mr. Keith Bloomfield.
Hello, everybody.
Mr. Sam Edwards.
Hello.
Mr. Leigh.
Hello.
And of course myself, Mr. Parish. Coming up today, we're going to be chatting all things Bandai Namco Store UK Birmingham, which just opens officially on Monday at the time of recording, but we went for a sneaky preview. We'll be having a roundup of some of the blockbusters coming to screens or smaller screens near you over the summer blockbuster period, and we'll also be looking at the Switch 2, and of course our One Geek Thing, but we'll be back shortly. So, a couple of days ago, a couple of us went to the new Bandai Namco Cross Store, Birmingham, for the press preview night. We got some lovely merchandise. But before we go into the merchandise, we're going to delve into our bags, and I've got you a few little gifts. But how did you think of the experience, Leigh?
I think it's pretty good. It's obviously got, like, the upstairs bit is like all the gacha machines and the crane machines as well, which with a wide variety of stuff. Some of it's quite surprising. Like, just in the midst of all these Japanese franchises, there's one gacha machine for Tom and Jerry, and that I did not understand, but okay.
There was a Sonic gacha machine as well. There was a Mario gacha machine. There was some with actual blind boxes inside, which is like an extra level of complication, the blind boxing. So it's like, do you want to try and claw a blind box which you're not going to know the contents?
I mean, the claw machine where you get claw machines is a fun one.
That was a great one. I wanted the mini claw machine. That was good fun. And then, yes, I think every single franchise under the sun was pretty much in the gachapon machines. So there was Kamen Rider, there was Mufusand, there was Kirby, there was Tamagotchi, there was Tom and Jerry as well, Evangelion, lots and lots of Gundam, as you can probably imagine, One Piece, Godzilla. Yeah, every single franchise that seemed to have a gachapon machine for. There was a couple of duplicates, so if one's busy, you can go to the other one. Yeah. But yeah, upstairs was pretty much just purely gacha machines and cranes.
And then downstairs there was like everything else, all the merchandise, the One Piece card game stuff, the various different things. There's that one, I can't even remember the name of it, where it's like you basically put in for a draw.
Yeah, the Ichibankuji.
There you go. So basically you can win anything from a really good expensive figure. Well, you buy a ticket and you're guaranteed one of these things that's drawn, and you either get like really high quality figure down to, like, I don't know, some prints or something.
But it was all actually quite nice stuff. Yeah. It was kind of, I think they were ranging the prices between £5 and £10 to put into the draw. But even the lower end prizes were still feel like you'd get something quite nice, because you're looking at Nier Automata.
Yeah, the Nier Automata stuff. The best thing in there was like this sort of, I think it was like a statue of 2B. It was like this tall, like very high quality. Bottom tier with some really high quality art prints. So either way, you're getting something good. So
yeah, it's something that it's nice that you get a prize guaranteed, regardless of what it is. But yeah, so there's also the Band Presto official shop, the Mega House official store. There was space at the back for One Piece, the card game, which has got really popular over here. So there's about 10 tables, I think, and you could go and buy booster packs, etc. And they had the big boxes. We did ask about the Gundam TCG, which is coming soon to the UK, and the Gundam Miniatures game, which is like Warhammer, but the Gundam version of Warhammer. They couldn't guarantee it, but there's a good likelihood that a pop-up might come into the shop as well. There's also Sunstar stationery shop, so there's some really nice stationery, again themed across animes. So it was themed across One Piece, Gundam, Mufusand, a few other bits as well.
There were Pikmin notebooks. That's for those.
Yeah.
And there's more Nintendo franchises than Bandai Namco franchises, which I find very odd. But
and then there was Tamashii Nations as well, which does a wide range of figures from quite cheap to really, really expensive. So again, there was little blind boxes stuff, all the way up to £100 Godzilla -1 figures, and some really nice articulated Gundams, quite a few One Piece statues as well, and Naruto statues that they had. So basically, if you like anything anime or anything Japanese culture, it's pretty much just a really fun way to get down. And it's nice that they've split it. So if you just want to go in for the gacha and just want to go in and have some fun, play the claw machines. Well, if you actually want to go down into the merchandise or the card game, it has that kind of 2-layer separation to it. So it's really nice.
I also felt that it was better than the London one.
Yeah.
Because the London one kind of felt a bit cramped and a bit disappointing, whereas this one I was like, oh, this has got a pretty wide selection. So I think...
Yeah, because you're describing like the amount of stuff's in there, and I'm trying to visualise in my head, because when it was the Muji store, it didn't seem that big inside.
the downstairs is huge.
And is it really? So they've really kind of opened it up
Yeah.
downstairs. Yeah, because I was just thinking, this sounds like, how have they got that all in the space that?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it would all fit in there, but somehow it does, yeah.
Yeah, upstairs is pretty much as big as the Muji shop used to be upstairs, but downstairs they seem to have found some magical extra pockets of space.
Broke through some walls and
Yeah, but the whole
it'll
concept
just fall into a sinkhole eventually, but you know,
yeah,
for now,
the whole
piece figures.
the whole concept of the shop is they can rotate little stores inside and out, so it's more like a miniature department store rather than being like a permanent. So you're going to have some stuff that will rotate in and out every.
Which I believe is where the name Cross Store comes from.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess that means it's good because people aren't going to get bored of like it just being the same stuff. There is a reason for you to keep going back.
yeah. So it officially opens this Monday, the 14th of April, which is coming up at the time of recording. Open 10 till 7 every single day. So it's one of those things that you can go post work, or if you've got half term or Easter breaks coming up with the kids. So I imagine it might be full of little feet running around getting as many gachas as they could possibly can, or playing claw machines to death. It was quite a simple setup upstairs, wasn't it? It was pay cash or pay coin, card, get your tokens for the gacha machines or the claw machines. It was just swipe and pay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good fun. It was quite nice to go to the opening event as well. It was really busy.
Yeah.
So it was kind of press, and I think it was VIP invited guests. They were running a few things on their social medias.
There's definitely one person who was there who I've seen recommended to me on YouTube before, so
Yeah.
I was like, I've seen your face before. Don't know who you are, because you've just shown up on my recommendations, but...
Yeah, but it was surprising how many people are back invested in Tamagotchi, because they have a Tamagotchi store downstairs. And apparently it's massive again.
Oh, they're doing a new Tamagotchi game soon, so...
Yeah. Yes. So, of course, while I was there, I did have to get some gacha for people. So, Keith, I'm going to roll yours over. Oh. Sam, you got a claw machine prize.
Oh.
And Matt, who is hiding behind camera today in producer role, I have something for you. So, if you want to come and grab it.
I want to see that fly over the monitors.
Yeah, I imagine that we're not going to throw that in case it just knocks all of this over.
And I did get myself a little gacha, and you got a few gacha as well, didn't
Yes,
you?
I did. So, what do we have? So, there's this one, which is... If I can get it open.
I do like the idea that like it's a bit of a kind of sort of like brain teaser to kind of how do you get in it? I can see where the hinge is or whatever it is. Oh, okay. I wonder which machine this one came out of.
I've got a little cute Gundam figurine having a sit down.
So, I have, if I can get it out of the package, it is from the Taiko Drum Master games. It is one of the little drums as a keychain.
That's pretty cool.
Cute, yeah.
Straight onto the keyring.
Yep.
Just get yourself a tiny little set of drumsticks.
Yeah.
I have a little squishy walrus guy who is a kawaii cutie, apparently.
It looks a bit like Wilfred Brimley, which is why I like him. It looks like he's about to start talking about diabetes. Keith, what did you get?
A tiny little. This is where everybody's going to write in and go, "Oh, you don't remember? I think it's Geigen."
It is Geigen.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember for a second. It's too early on a Saturday morning for us. But he's pretty cool. Looks good.
Yeah.
Will
Matt?
sit nicely on my shelf.
Matt, off camera, what did you get?
I actually got the coolest one. I've got a video cassette of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Nice.
And also had this curbing.
Yes.
Ooh.
We've not opened him yet.
Not opening yet.
So he was a really weird one because he got stuck in the machine twice.
Yes.
Nice.
They had to come over and help, which was quite amusing. That the first time we ever tried to open a gacha machine.
At least we got to see how they work.
I like the fact that just makes me think, God, if that was a bath bomb, that'd be just so cool.
But what I just like how they've done the Kirby ones because he is the gacha capsule, and all the parts to finish him off are inside him.
Nice.
Okay.
And it's King Dedede themed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's King Dedede themed. So he's wearing the hat and he's got the hammer as well. But obviously I haven't opened it up yet. So
Yeah.
Cool.
But of course, because it was press night, we did get a bag of stuff.
Swag.
So, swag bag. It's a really nice swag bag. And thank you to the guys at Bandai Namco stuff for having it. I have a blind box One Piece figure. So I'm going to throw him over to you two. And you can open him up and see who he is. While I also delve in the bag.
yeah, in fact, I can do the other one.
I like these little stands because they look like they're the full professional stands for figurines that we haven't bought yet.
Yes. So
I
yeah,
do
there's a
like the
bunch-
fact they've got a large picture of a character you're not likely to get.
Yes. And this bag, which I thought was the best gashapon bag ever, because you just want to fill that up when you're at
yeah.
the shop.
So we opening these.
You can open those two, yeah.
We also have
Oh, we have something from the stationery store. So a lovely pen
Yes.
and magnet of an elephant, which I don't know what it is.
is it a magnet or a badge?
Is it a badge? I thought it was a magnet.
I interpreted it as a badge.
It's,
but
it's from the Sunstar stationery shop
we'll
there.
find out.
Just because
Yes.
it's just too,
Yeah.
We also have the
too
One Piece
awkward
cards.
to try and get inside.
Oh yes, One Piece card. Did you get Luffy?
Yes. I think that's they're just
You got
giving.
two Luffy, I only
Yeah,
got one
like I
Luffy.
somehow had two of them.
Nice.
So if you want one of the Luffys, drop us a message on
Yeah.
Blue Sky. And
With the
we'll
answer to
post-
this question,
Yeah.
oh, there's more tape all over.
Yeah, I've just found the other tape as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like, I mean, I suppose if you're like slightly younger, you're not going to let things like that
Understanding.
hold you
We
back.
also have the Mega Cat Project badge.
I also
Nice.
have a Mega Cat Project badge.
Yeah.
Well, that's
For
interesting.
ages over 15 years, apparently.
And then just assorted bits of catalogues and ads and all the rest
It's
of it.
not as blind boxy as you might think.
Ah.
Because when I was complaining that it's a bit of a swizz that you put a picture on the front and you might not get that character, we've both actually got the
Okay.
character that's on the front of the box.
So just-
Oh, I do like the fact it's got a stand.
And then, yes. So the other thing as well, which we noticed while we was there, which isn't just that you've got the Bandai Namco Cross Store in Birmingham and Camden, which is the original one. They've also put mini Bandai Namco gachapon shops in all the Bandai Namco Cross arcades. So there's one in Tamworth. So if you can't get to Birmingham, there is a Namco Funscape there. Otherwise, Old Trafford Centre, Metro Centre, Norwich. So if you ever pop back home,
Yeah.
you can head down to there. Braintree, Romford, Brighton, and Ealing. So I think quite a lot of stores.
So we also mentioned I do have a couple of other things.
Yes.
I have this adorable wasabi, which came from a claw machine of various different sources. You could get ketchup, you could get what else was in that? And a sriracha was in
Mustard.
there. Mustard was in there as well.
Yes.
And then, of course, I saw they had Splatoon guns, so of course I got the blind box Splatoon guns. And I got the, I can't remember which gun this is. It's been a while since I played Splatoon 3.
Shocking.
But yes, it is.
But there are some figures downstairs, as you said, Keith, where they weren't blind box, where you could just actually pick which one, which is something we
They're quite
discussed in the last show, that you can get a bit frustrated with blind boxes if you're after one particular character.
Yeah.
They had a Gundam set, which is not featured on the show, but I did buy a couple of Gundam ones. And yeah, they were there as well.
So
I
yeah,
have
that's
no
quite,
idea
that's
which
quite
character
impressive.
that is.
I have no idea.
But they're all One Piece
Bit of a Red
figures.
Sonja looking character.
Yeah, I think they're both definitely One Piece characters.
But yeah, it does the One Piece Film Gold, Volume 5. So apparently you have to be 15 plus to have this, which I can kind of see from this character.
Yeah.
Because that's a skimpy bikini she's wearing.
But the one thing that I really liked is the fact that again, we've actually got a flagship store in Birmingham. So there's also the Uniqlo store open. So we're getting a few Japanese brands coming up to Birmingham recently.
Uniqlo, you need to do your Battle of the Planets t-shirt again, which I didn't get the last time you had it out, which was probably about 10 years ago. So I'd like you to reissue that one. Thank you very much. What we're talking about, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, would you guys attend? Have you been to the Camden store?
No, I've never been.
No, I haven't either, but it looks like a fun place. And I can imagine as well, if all the gacha stores, gacha machines are upstairs, that's going to be quite a sort of visually appealing thing for people who are walking past.
And I can imagine they're going to be on rotation very rapidly because the London store was always very fast on how much they swap the gacha machines around.
Yeah, I might have to have a look because if they've got more boxes like this where you kind of know what character you're going to get out of the box,
Yeah,
I might have a little look and see.
There were things in there where I was like, I can't buy this, but I want to buy this. It had like a little Mega Man. It was like, but it was very funny because it was very much like anime style Mega Man. But on the side of the box they had the 8-bit Mega Man, and it was very very much a contrast. And then there was also a Taiko pillow. So it's like a big body pillow that's like just got the drum face on either end, and it just looks very silly.
Yeah, I mean, I was really interested by what the variants they had in the Ichi Kanbuji stuff, because they had JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, they had Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Monster Hunter, they had
Nier Automata.
Berserk was in there.
Yeah, Berserk, they had a full range of stuff, so they had the giant Berserk figure. So if you're into that franchise, it's a really, really cool figure.
And you posted a picture that they'd got the Godzilla -1
Yes.
figures.
Yeah, we
The
saw
large
that. We saw
statue.
that and thought of you, Keith.
Yeah, because it was the colour and the minus colour versions?
Just the minus colour,
Ah, okay.
which is the rare one, I think, because they've only done a very limited run of those. So
Yeah.
if you're listening to this, go and watch it on YouTube, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yep, opens officially 14th of April. So go enjoy, spend all your pocket money, like we did.
Yes.
It's been a while since new console came out. We've had PS5 Pro and Xbox Series X has been around for quite some time.
Yeah, those two, like PS5 and Xbox, have been around since 2020, which is
Yeah.
weird to think that they're 5 years old.
Yeah. And they've both had their own revisions since, but nothing major. But Nintendo is back with a new console, which is more powerful, yet still less powerful than the PS5 Pro and the Xbox Series X, which is the Nintendo Switch 2, not the Switch U. They've kept that naming away this time after the whole Wii debacle. They've actually put the biggest 2 possible.
There was a debate of whether or not they should call it the Super Nintendo Switch. Which, again, I don't like. That could have gone either way, honestly. But
Could have called it the Super Switch.
yeah,
They could have called it Switch Up.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
no, because
That
again,
keeps the U in there.
That leads into the U problem.
But yes, so the Switch 2, it's been in development since 2019 apparently, so 6 years to get this out from concept to release. Comes out in the UK on June the 5th, the week before my birthday. Just a hint. Nintendo would like to be nice. So basically, even though they said it's successor, it's a ground-up rebuild of the Switch, basically, because the Switch was hurriedly cobbled together after the Wii U.
Yeah.
Because it was basically they just threw the desktop and the mobile arms and just said, make something quick.
Yeah.
We need money. But this one, yeah, so they've rebuilt it from the ground up. 1080p screen now, 9 inches, I think. Or is it?
They have said that they can do 4K.
Yes, 4K docked, I think.
Yes.
But it's
so the
a
screen is...
yeah, but it's a 1080p screen. It's LCD, which quite a lot of people are surprised of because they released the Switch OLED, so they thought that everybody would switch. From what I've seen of the footage online, the LCD does look really good, and it looks even slightly better than the OLED, but it's a really weird choice because everybody else is swapped to OLED screens now in phones and everything else. NVIDIA custom processor, same as last time, because they used the NVIDIA Shield processor last time. So it'd be interesting to see what the new one is, which might mean we do get a new NVIDIA Shield TV box, which I'd be very happy for, because I really miss my NVIDIA Shield TV box. It has a new button, which a lot of people are surprised about.
It's the big
C button now.
It's been a while, and it's unlike the Mega Drive C button. It's a chat button. Because Nintendo have finally discovered the concept of party chat, like 3 generations after everyone else.
Yes, but you can put a PlayStation 2 era iToy camera
Yes.
onto your Nintendo Switch in glorious 480p resolution by the look of it.
When they showed that camera, my immediate reaction was just, that is ominous. It's just this like eye on a stalk.
When it starts blinking at you.
Yeah.
Like at least the iToy was just like a little webcam that sat on your TV.
The ridiculous thing is they put out that ridiculous alarm clock
Yes.
that was styled out, kind of like very Nintendo-esque. So why not make the camera with that?
Well-
Why not make it a Mario that
there's
looks at you, eyeballs you, or a Yoshi?
There is a third-party camera coming out that's a piranha plant.
Oh, okay.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Why
That's
did
cool,
Nintendo just do that themselves?
Yeah.
And like what makes that one better than the official one is the fact that the piranha plant's mouth can close, which gives you privacy
Nice.
because it's inside the mouth.
But introductory pricing, $450, which might change due to Mr. Trump's tariffs. 699 Australian dollars, 629.99 Canadian dollars, 469.99 euros, 49,980 yen, or for us people in the UK, 396 quid, because that's just how they do it now.
I'm honestly surprised because the usual way that UK prices for game stuff are
Copy
calculated,
paste the American price. Yeah.
it's just the American price, but you swap out
Yeah, dollars for pounds, yeah.
But
currency.
yeah, so they've massively upgraded the storage. I think it was 12 gig on the original Switch,
Something like that.
something insanely small.
I know that the amount of times I've had to like shuffle stuff around.
Yeah, so that's going up to 256 gig of storage. There is still a micro SD card express slot on it, so that takes up to a 2 terabyte card now. So I think the last one was limited to 1 terabyte. So it's an 8-inch screen. Variable refresh rate, 120 hertz screen. So you could, I think there's going to be a choice between resolution versus frame rate.
Which is pretty standard these days for a lot of games.
So you can probably do a decent full, good 1080p, 30 frames per second game, or you can probably drop the resolution a little bit, because there is rumours that it's going to have ray tracing and DLSS being an NVIDIA product. So that's some of the stuff that they have on their desktop GPUs. So they're going to have something like that on there. And as you said, with dock, it's going to be 1440p up to 120 hertz, or 4K at 60 hertz via the dock.
I mean, like, I imagine that it's probably, if we've got like the performance versus resolution, it's probably going to be 1080 at 60, and then we're going to 4K at 30, sort of thing. Because that's usually how a lot of these work, which is why I always slap it onto the performance one.
Yeah.
I don't have a 4K screen, so who cares?
But they've also learned from the Steam Deck, because they've put a USB-C port on the top as well now. So it means you can change it without having the cable dangling down between you, or actually use it in the kickstand mode. So they've changed the kickstand as well. Now got Wi-Fi 6. It says 6.5 hours battery life. I'm assuming that's at minimum brightness. And
That's when you've got it in the menu.
yeah,
My favourite thing about that kickstand is just how they're emphasising how far back it can go, and I'm just like, you're just testing people. Like you're gonna, like,
someone's going to snap it.
So yeah, my first instinct when they showed it like that was just, all right, how long until this snaps? Someone's going to break that off.
Yeah. Shall we quickly go through some of the new games? So Mario Kart World. So the long-awaited successor to Mario Kart 8, which has been out.
Forza Horizon Mario Kart.
How long has Mario Kart 8 been out? Because that came out on the Wii
10,
U.
11 years.
So that's been going a long
2014 is when it came out on the Wii U, so yeah.
But yeah, Forza Mario Kart, basically, you now have to drive between the circuits, which you can imagine is just going to be all sorts of mayhem with people cutting each other up to try and get to the grid first.
It was just so funny when they were showing off, like, here's all the cool things you can do. I was like Forza Horizon, and it's exactly the same game, except instead of real cars, it's Mario Karts.
Yeah. You got Donkey Kong Bonanza, which Donkey Kong is now wearing trousers, which means it's gone weird. It's not just a tie anymore. He's put some clothes on. Does that mean he was just running around with his ass cheeks clapping?
That was
the
his
concerning bit, yeah.
that was his business outfit. This is his casual outfit. Somehow,
His casual outfit means more clothing.
yeah. I'm curious about that one for the simple fact that like, they haven't said who the developers are. And one thing stood out to me in the trailers, which was how many things in the scenery just had eyes on them. And I'm just like, all right, did you get Rare and or Platonic to help you make this? Did you bring them back? Because like that's their trademark, is putting eyeballs on everything.
But Rare's still Microsoft owned, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah, but Banjo-Kazooie is in Smash Brothers, so it's not exactly out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
But even then, it could be Platonic, which is basically where most of Rare went.
Yeah, and Xbox and Nintendo have got a fairly decent relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nintendo are just getting everyone else's games at this point because PlayStation games have been announced for the Switch 1 now.
Yeah.
Everybody's Golf and Patapon now on Switch, and I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah. Kirby Air Riders.
So Kirby Air Ride was a GameCube game,
Yeah.
basically a Kirby racing game. I've never played it.
Mm-hmm.
The most I know about it is just its massive overrepresentation in Smash Brothers because there's a Sakurai bias because he directed the original. He's directing the new one as well. And I think one of the first reactions I saw to Kirby Air Riders online was on the Smash Brothers subreddit where people were like, wait, does this mean there's no Smash Brothers? I was like, probably not yet, no.
Where else do you go with Smash Brothers now? You can't go any more than Ultimate. It's pretty much every single person was in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they might do a upgraded version for the Switch
Probably.
too, rather than actually doing a full release game. Other games covering off Dustbloods, which is Bloodborne, but we can't call it Bloodborne.
Bloodborne
2. So we'll just change the name
Although
slightly.
it's not really Bloodborne 2, it's they've been saying it's like a multiplayer thing. So it's like a PvP VE
Yeah.
thing, where I think like it's been compared to Hunt Showdown.
quite interesting.
From the description, people are sort of saying that sounds a lot like Hunt Showdown. So, but of course you get a lot of hardcore FromSoft people who are just like, but that's not what I want. I want Bloodborne 2. So, you know,
Mobile Bloodborne, basically,
yeah.
to a certain extent.
Until Bloodborne gets ported.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. So this is a Dynasty Warriors spin-off, which was the Zelda Dynasty Warriors.
This is the third one, I think.
Third one. And it's, if you like that kind of game, enjoy.
Yeah.
It's basically whacking a lot of stuff with the big sword.
The only one of those sorts of games I've played is Persona 5 Strikers, which had like all the Persona 5 stuff all over it, so it was kind of a weird hybrid. But
Yeah, Drag X Drive, which had a lot of time on the Nintendo Direct, which was surprising, which is basically looks a bit like futuristic wheelchair basketball to a certain extent.
yeah, it's basically it's their way of showing off the mouse controls, because like the way you steer it is like using the mouse aspect of the Joy-Cons. The problem I have with that is that it just has no personality. Like it feels like it's been knocked up in like 5 minutes.
It feels like they wanted to get the car football game, which I can't remember.
Rocket League.
And this feels like we can't get Rocket League, so we'll make our own.
What it makes me think of is the Switch had arms to represent, you know, where you could use the Joy-Cons as that at least had personality, even if no one played it. And thanks to its appearance in Smash Brothers, I was like, oh no, its soundtrack is actually really, really good. But that felt like a Nintendo game. Because it sort of felt like we did Splatoon and now here's ARMS, and this is kind of following in that. Whereas Drag X Drive it looks corporate. It looks like corporate mandated, we need to show off the mouse things, knock something up in an hour. You know, like everything's just a faceless robot, and it's weird.
And I'm a Nintendo Switch 2 Tour, which is a demo, but you have to buy it. Which is, as we were talking about this before, like when you've just had Astro Bot come out on the PlayStation 5 as its demo.
Yeah, because like PS5 launched in 2020 with Astro's Playroom, which was supposed to be a tech demo, but it was basically just this joyous 3D platformer that just went a lot harder than it had any need to do. And just everyone fell in love with it. And it was just there on your PS5, whereas this does not have remotely that same kind of feel to it.
It just looks terrible. It looks like it's from the balance board era of the Wii.
Yeah.
And it's like, just print that in a manual.
Yeah.
For God's sake, put it as a PDF. It just seems like a wasted opportunity to just do something interesting. It's like, for a start, nobody's going to buy it. Who in their right mind is going to go, oh, I need to figure out what this button does, so I'm going to download this demo, which I need to figure out what the button does to download. It's like, no,
So
cut it
the
out.
best comparison I saw, which was the Wii, greatest selling console of all time, Wii Sports, bundled in, and it was a fantastic first-party game.
Although that was a Western thing, because
Yeah.
apparently in Japan you had to buy it separately.
But it was one of the best bundled games of all time because it got everybody playing Wii straight away.
You can thank Reggie for that.
Well, there's probably loads of people out there which didn't even buy another game. They bought a Wii that came with Wii
Wii
Sport, and
Sports,
that's all they ever did.
That's probably why they stopped giving away bundled games. I also want to quickly touch on the Switch 2 edition games that they've announced. So Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So basically what they're saying is, if you want to play these Switch 1 games on the Switch 2 in glorious 4K, upscaled frame rate, slightly better performance, then you have to pay an upgrade fee.
But also with Kirby and Super Mario Party, they have added additional stuff to it. So
yeah, a little bit, but
Kirby, I think is just really, it's like a DLC thing. It's like additional levels. Whereas like the Mario Party Jamboree stuff, they've added a whole load of extra stuff.
well, that's
for
using the camera
and
stuff,
the
so
mouse
you can-
stuff. So.
yeah.
But I did see a headline because, like, just looking at those titles on the screen, it reminded me of a headline I saw which said that I'm starting to think that, leave them on screen because I need this to say the headline. It was something like, I'm starting to think that Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition and Jamboree TV and Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition and Starcross World might be too long titles or something like that.
You can imagine having to type that into your browser, like find that copy of the game. But yeah, they've also upgraded the Switch Online service. They're bringing more GameCube titles to that, releasing a GameCube controller. Not massively great selection of titles for the GameCube.
I mean, the thing is, it's the way that the Virtual Console Switch Online has always operated, is they'll sort of drip feed the titles over time.
Yeah.
Because I know that, like, when all the other consoles launched for Switch,
Yeah.
I think like the NES had like here are the Mario Brothers, and then maybe a Zelda, and that was like it. And then it's just added stuff over time. But then I think it's a pretty good selection for the fact that they're drip feeding it.
Yeah.
Because I mean they got Soul Calibur 2 on there, which is probably their surprise inclusion, I'd say. But yeah.
But yeah, again, talking of Nintendo Switch Online, the other thing that annoys me, Nintendo, the only one who still charge you to save games on the cloud.
No, PlayStation does that.
PlayStation does. I thought you still could save games, but you couldn't. No?
Nope. Cloud saves are tied to PlayStation Plus.
No.
Yep.
And then the chat feature also being a paid-for feature. So even if you buy your Piranha camera and you've got your new dedicated hardware chat button, you still have to buy the Nintendo Switch Online to use it.
But that's the Plus version, isn't it? Not the $17.99 standard version. Haven't you got to go up to the upgraded version?
I'm not sure. I think for the basic version, I think that's where you get the online features. So I think the chat is part of the basic package. I think a lot of the expansion pack stuff is it's certain consoles for the Switch Online service. I know that GameCube's going to be a lot behind it. In the same way that N64 and GBA, I think, are locked behind it currently.
Yeah. It just says new voice service game chat, and it says only works with an active Nintendo Online subscription. So I don't know if that's Plus or whatever it
It's
is.
probably the basic one, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're very insistent on doing the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, and they will insist on saying that, and I don't think they said that when talking about the chat stuff in the direct. So,
But what gets me is we all know how online game chat is the worst thing known to humanity because everybody on online game chat is a very angry person. What is that going to be like when people are playing Mario Party and Mario Kart? We played this during lockdown with Facebook voice chat going on the side, me, Sam and a few other friends, and it just descended into lots of bitching and swearing.
Yes.
That's
But is
all
that-
you're going to get.
That's just you and your friends, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just like
It's
any
going
old
to be worse
random.
when you're going with randomers online.
I don't know if you will. I don't think Nintendo will allow that for it to just be random people. I
know
reckon
that-
it's going to have to be people off your friends list.
probably. And I know that they emphasise that, like, make sure that you've got the parental controls app, which Nintendo, it doesn't need to be an app, put it in the system. Although I think maybe this is the way of telling parents, like, there are parental controls. Please pay attention.
Please use the parental controls.
It's heavily featured in our tech demo, which is available now for you to purchase.
Yeah. Got to wrap this up because I need to move on to the next segment. Joy-Con 2, to wrap it up. Is it a big enough seller, I think, for people to move? Because at the moment, the only
You
game...
can do this with it.
But the only game that's
But it
really
clicks in with
calling it...
magnets.
The only game that's really calling out to me as worthy of the Switch 2 is Mario Kart World. And if they do a Switch 1 release, I think nobody would bother to upgrade the Switch 2 to a
They won't do a Switch 1 version, though.
No, because that's the flagship title.
And also, I think we're at the point where something like Mario Kart World will just cause the Switch to set on fire.
Yeah.
A big open world like that, I think the Switch is just going to be like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, it struggles with Mario Kart 8 with the expansion packs.
It struggles with, I think I've heard
Breath
it
of the
struggles
Wild.
with Tears of the Kingdom specifically. It struggles with, which, yeah.
Which is quite surprising because there's usually a Zelda launch title, which maybe they'll reveal one.
There is a Zelda launch title. You can buy Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 edition and Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch 2
but
edition.
they've always had a bridging Zelda game in the past for their console transfers.
They've only done it twice.
Well, that's 15 years worth of Nintendo history at the moment. So it's quite weird that they're not doing one.
Mm-hmm. And I think in both cases it was like, we were developing it for the old system, but then we ran out of time, and now we have to hastily cobble it together as a launch title for the second one.
But also weird there's no Mario platformer.
It's Donkey Kong's turn.
Yeah.
After 20 years or however long it's been since...
After he's found his pants.
Yeah. It took him 20 years to find his trousers.
Cool. But yeah, it's coming out. It's going to sell like proverbial hotcakes, I think, for Mario Kart World.
I don't know if it will.
We'll
I
see.
don't know. I don't think it's going to be an instant winner. I think it'll do okay, but I don't think there's enough there.
I think once we see them start, if they're continuing the sort of semi-monthly releases that they've been doing with the Switch 1, I think we do that. But we need to see them do that.
We need to know what they are. Yeah. I don't think it's. I mean, my Switch has been sat in a cupboard for a year.
Yeah.
And I've got games I haven't even played yet. And it's like, I'm at the point in my gaming life where I've got such a backlog of titles. I'm kind of like, yeah, man, I need to get to those before I drop another 500 quid on a console and some games and whatnot. Especially as I've got to junk everything that I've got because none of it's backwards compatible.
What my suggestion would be is go and get a Steam Deck OLED edition for roughly the same price and get access to a giant library of PC games and a really good emulator platform.
Also, Keith, the Switch 2 is backwards compatible.
Some of the games are. They do say it's a little bit like it's not 100% everything is
They
backwards
have
compatible.
provided lists of what currently doesn't work, but they've also, on all of them, it says that we're looking into it. So I think it's like, it will be, I think there's going to be patches and stuff introduced to try and...
And considering Xbox are likely to reveal a portable system at some point later this year, I'm going to kind of keep my powder dry.
I think watch and wait, see how it goes.
I want to see the library.
Yeah. See if they can give another Nintendo Direct between now and June the 5th to encourage a few more people.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's one around launch.
Yeah.
Because that's around the time of Summer Games Fests and stuff like that, so it seems like the perfect time to do it.
Give us some more good first-party titles, I think. Mario Kart World is just not enough anymore. We're going into blockbuster season, and there's not a domination of Marvel at the box office. There's 3 Marvel films coming out, but I don't think it's had the amount of domination that it has in the past.
Finally.
So we've already talked about all 3 Marvel trailers as well in previous shows, so go back and watch those. But we pick out another 4 trailers, one of which we have slightly touched on previously, but there's actually been an actual trailer this time now, so we can talk about that. And that is Superman 2025, directed by Mr. James Gunn, written by James Gunn, with Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel also getting writing credits as per.
Starring James Gunn.
Yeah.
But theme tune written by James Gunn.
Starring, not James Gunn.
With Sean Gunn as Crypto.
Well, I was just going to come on to the cast. So we've got David Corran Sweat, who has taken over as Clark Kent from Henry Cavill, which lots of people are still very upset in because it's the internet. But we'll see. Isabella Merced as Kendra Saunders, Rachel Brosnahan Marvellous Mrs. Maisel as Lois Lane, Nathan Fillion, Guy Gardner with the world's best bowl cut, Nicholas Hoult taking over as Lex Luthor, Millie Alcock as Kara Zor-El, Skylar Gizondo as Jimmy Olsen, Frank Grillo as Rick Flagg Sr., Anthony Corrigan as Rex Mason, Pruitt Taylor Vince playing Jonathan Kent, Wendell Pierce as Perry White, and Sean Gunn as Maxwell Lord, and quite a lot of other cast, but I think that's enough for now. Keith, you're a big Superman fanboy. we all know what's your opinion, so do you want to go quickly first?
Mean, it looks great. I'm just... Basically, whoever put the trailer together has just gone, look, it's daylight. Sun. You know, obviously Superman is powered by the sun. And I kind of like the idea that they haven't picked an actor who is ripped and shredded beyond all belief, because Superman doesn't need to be ripped and shredded. He's a relatively ordinary looking bloke who's empowered by the yellow sun that our planet has. So his strength comes from being charged up by that. He doesn't need to be like, you know, shredded beyond belief. So I kind of like the fact that it feels a little bit more like, you know, comic book Superman. It looks fantastic. I mean, I've got a lot of faith in James Gunn. He did lots of good work before he joined the MCU. Guardians is still probably the best of the Marvel trilogies that we've had consistently throughout.
I mean, the Suicide Squad was an enjoyable
I mean, that was
film.
like, but he leans into like, inherently, this is a ridiculous idea. You know, a random bloke who can fly and shoot laser beams out of his eyes. It's just insane. And he's leaning into that ridiculousness. We see kaiju, we see other kind of like stupid things that would just not happen in a Zack Snyder version of the Justice League.
But it's not dark and gritty enough.
And it's daylight. It's got colour. It's got colour. The suit is blue and red, not a grey. And
not maroon. And
the trailer opens with Crypto, who does the most dog thing ever. It's like, oh, my master's lying half dead on the floor. I'm just going to bounce on top of him. That sequence alone, it's like the entire film could be just Crypto doing Crypto shit, and it's like not actual Crypto. Yeah. That's probably too much, but it looks glorious.
This is James Gunn's first feature film with the reboot. So Suicide Squad is in old DC universe.
He's done Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos on TV, which is the
HBO Max or whatever it is.
It's the cartoon, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the first...
Oh, that's going away then.
Yeah. But that's the first Gunn verse to lead us in. And then there's Peacemaker, the TV series, which is in a kind of weird place. Because
kind of partly in, partly out.
Yeah. So that's the John Cena-led one with the ridiculous
which was
helmets.
glorious as well. That's a great series.
Greatest intro to any program ever.
But yeah, so it's his first feature. There's a lot pinned on this one to basically revive DC at the box office after what has been a fair few flops in a row.
Yeah, I think it's got the markings of being a fun, and that's what I want from a ridiculous superhero movie. I want to be entertained, and this. Everything I've seen of this so far communicates that to me. And the fact that they respect John Williams' Superman theme. You know, it's like James Bond. This is partly what makes the character this musical cue, and that's been included. Updated for the modern audience, but it's still there. The same as kind of Danny Elfman's Batman theme. You kind of hear that, you know, this is Batman. This is, you know, John Williams. That riff, that motif, you go, yeah, this is Superman. And I'm really jazzed for it.
So it could be July 11th, so not long to wait now.
Yeah.
So, Leigh, final thought? Does it persuade you to enjoy superhero movies? Can you believe a man will fly?
Superman is like the most superhero of the superheroes, so therefore I hate him the most. So
I think Lee's holding is waiting for Supergirl, which I think is going to be next year or the year after, because hopefully that will have Streaky the Super Cat. So you're going to have some glorious superhero cat action.
Talking of things,
I'm not a fan of the Spider Cat either, so that's not going to convince me.
Talking of things people hate. Moving on to Tron Ares.
Jared Leigh. I saw Tron on the screen.
So Tron Ares, third Tron film. It's been almost 15 years?
Yeah.
15 years since Tron Legacy, which still the greatest film soundtrack of all time.
Is that bigger or smaller than the gap between Legacy and the first Tron?
First Tron was 83, so yes. It's not as big as a gap.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, Bruce Boxleitner is going to be in a wheelchair at this point.
Yeah.
He's still a sprightly fella.
I mean, he's sprightly. I don't know about good old Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
He's cracking on a few years. So, directed by Joachim Ronning. Joachim Ronning.
I think.
Written by Jesse Wiggletown, Jack Thorne, Stephen Lisberger, starring Greta Lee, Sarah Desjardins, Jared Leto, Gillian Anderson, Jeff Bridges, Evan Peters. I think that's the big main cast. Evan Peters, Quicksilver, MCU.
Hoping it's the same character and it's just him running alongside the light cycles.
Just with the big line coming out of his back this time. But he's playing Julian Dillinger, so I think he's now like Cillian Murphy's son. Was it Cillian Murphy?
Yeah, Cillian Murphy in the Legacy.
So, and who was David Warner in the original movie. So he was the big bad, basically, in the first film. So this, I think the plot is something like Ares become a highly sophisticated program. Jared Leto is sent from the digital world to the real world on a dangerous mission. So, trailer starts off the best way a Tron trailer could start off. Light cycles. Everybody loves a light cycle. What do you think?
All of that looks great. All of that kind of
The rectifier flying
all the
around,
stuff flying. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you've got the poo in the pond that is Jared Leto. So no matter how much the rest of it is good, he's going to have to do a lot of work.
Is Jared Leto offset by the presence of Gillian Anderson?
And Jeff Bridges coming back.
And Jeff Bridges, but...
No, I mean...
But Gillian Anderson, as soon as I saw her in the trailer, I was like, oh, she's in this. Cool.
Yeah.
This is going to be great.
Depends what they've got to do. I'm struggling a little bit with the kind of like bringing it all into the real world type stuff, because I don't imagine that's going to start from the very beginning. I think a lot of what we're seeing in this trailer is going to be very tail end, third act stuff, and I don't know.
Well, I think, aren't they going to need to sort of have the transition from the digital world into the real world, because we've only really done it the other way around.
Well,
I don't know. I've never actually seen a Tron. I'm sorry.
They need to explain away all the stuff with Cora from the previous thing as well.
I was going to say, because they left it on a really pivotal plot point in Tron Legacy about programs coming into the real world, and she was the first one. And they've completely abandoned that plot by the look of it. So it's just all gone. And the other thing as well, with Tron Legacy, it was all still the original PC from Tron. So it was all just one PC environment. So how are they going to do things like the internet and everything? Because it was just a PC in the back of the arcade in Tron Legacy.
Yeah,
so
at least it connected to the original film in a way that you felt was more organic and realistic. This just seems to be... I don't see how the pieces are all going to fall together. Yeah. And it's like... Okay.
And how could you not have Bruce Boxleitner in it, who is
Well, how can
the
you call your
titular
film Tron and not have Tron in it?
Yeah.
I mean, but they could be holding a lot of stuff back. It's not unusual for films to go, we're not going to show you something. Because we only hear Jeff's voice. And again, with what happened with Clue and Jeff in Tron Legacy, there's a lot of story they've got to get in order here.
So a quick mention, Nine Inch Nails doing the soundtrack. Trent Reznor is now pretty much soundtrack specialist, did the Challenger soundtrack quite recently. I'm quite excited for it. It's a completely different take from the Daft Punk soundtrack of Tron Legacy.
But the weird thing here is it says 9 Inch Nails, not a...
Trent Reznor.
Atticus Ross
soundtrack,
which is what everything else has been. This just seems like, well, how is this going to work?
Well, see, I like to think this is the influence of video games. Trent Reznor did the Quake soundtrack, and now look at it.
But this is the thing, I think that fits the real world a little bit more than the digitalness of the... So we might get a bit of a music cross backwards, because in the Tron Legacy, it was all synths and it was all strings until he went into the digital world, and then it turned into all synths and your standard kind of Daft Punk soundtrack.
And I think, as well, like, Nine Inch Nails can straddle that a bit more as well, because, like... Nine Inch Nails is an industrial band, so plenty of electronic stuff. Just
I suspect the marketing it as Nine Inch Nails rather than Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross is partly because they know they've got the legacy of the Daft Punk soundtrack and they want to present it as this is a band that's providing the soundtrack.
I do want to mention, because this is like October, right?
Yep, October 10th.
If you want anything Tron related before then, there is a new game coming out in June from Bithell Games. So that is Tron Catalyst.
That's the character-driven dialogue one, isn't it?
I think this one's like an actual like top-down action thing.
Third
So,
one.
So it's a different. Oh, okay. I mean,
yeah, so that one was Tron Identity was the
Yeah.
visual novel one, but this one's same developer, but it's a different genre because
Yeah.
Bithell Games hop around genres all the time. So
I was gonna say, if you're revisiting Tron, I think the Tron cartoon, which was really good, which was released
Uprising.
around, yeah,
Yeah,
Uprising, which was around
fantastic.
Legacy. I think that's still on Disney Plus. But moving on to something which shouldn't really be in the real world, The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. So this is a reboot / soft sequel to the original Frank Drebin.
very soft sequel.
Yes. Original classic Naked Gun franchise, which they made 3 movies of, plus Police Squad before that. Leslie Nielsen, one of the greatest comedy characters of all time. But yes, you've now got the guy from Taken dressed as a schoolgirl, flashing his knickers in a bank raid while sucking a lollipop.
I think I'm more intrigued about this than everyone else in the room.
no, I think
So-
I'm kind of with you, Sam, on this one. Like, I kind of want to see how they do with this.
Yeah.
I think, like, obviously, I think people are going to be quite like skeptical of Liam Neeson, but I think probably at the time Leslie Nielsen was probably like, no, obviously this was after Airplane, but like in Airplane specifically, I think that was probably like, are they comedy actors? You know,
I think, yeah, and Liam Neeson has done comedy well as well. Like he was in Derry Girls. Very
as
briefly,
a cameo.
Well, yeah, but it was funny.
I can see Liam Neeson working quite well actually.
Yeah.
Because it plays against type, and I think he's a decent enough actor that he is, and he's quite a humorous guy.
Similar kind of.
Some of the other cast, sorry, quickly cover that off. Paul Walter Hauser, Pamela Anderson, Kevin Durand, Danny Houston, Cody Rhodes, who you can probably know as a wrestler more than anybody else, David Lengel, Buster Rhymes. So interesting casting combination. But I was going to mention the director is Akiva Schaffer, who has done a lot of the SNL series of stuff.
Isn't he part of the Lonely Island?
Yeah.
Yes, Chippendale Rescue Rangers he also directed,
Okay.
Yeah.
which was actually
Excellent.
reasonably quite
Yeah.
good. But what I was going to say is probably currently most known for doing I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, which is a big standout cult kind of weird comedy hit.
A lot of his stuff is kind of cult comedy. Lonely Island is a similar sort of vein. And I think his involvement is a very positive sign as well.
Yeah, because he also directed The Watch and Hot Rod. The Watch.
The Hot Rod's quite
Hot
good.
Rod's
I'm
good.
a bit surprised that they haven't marketed this with like the music by Lonely Island in big
Yeah.
neon letters at the end of the trailer. That would have probably been quite good. It could work. I do like
want-
the O.J. Simpson
Yeah, I was about to
thing
say,
in the trailer. That's funny.
That feels like a joke that would be in like the original as well.
That's funny. So I think if they do the scattergun, you know, because Naked Gun was very much from the kind of Airplane school of comedy. It's like we're just going to do skit.
I think
loose story in here.
My big question about this is Weird Al going to do a cameo?
He's got to do a cameo.
Because he's in all the other 3, so...
But all I was going to say is I think I need at least one more trailer to be possibly persuaded.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to come on to our final film, starring rather largely flagged in the trailer, Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage.
Which Academy Award did he win?
So
Leaving Las Vegas.
yes,
Okay, that's quite a while. That's quite some time ago.
but also starring Stephen Dorff and Heather Graham
Yes, from Austin Powers and Blade fame.
and Seymour. You might know, Chinese actor, being quite a lot of stuff. It is Gunslingers, so I'm going to actually have to give the plot description for this one, which I haven't had to do for the rest of them. In a town named Redemption, reformed gunslinger Keller and mad genius Ben are guided by a spiritual leader, Jericho, towards vindication. When confronting their violent histories, their newfound peace is challenged by violence and revenge. Did you get any of that from the trailer? Because I didn't.
No. I was mostly focusing on where Nick Cage got his glasses from in 1886.
I will say that like my thought of where his Academy Award came from was adaptation, but he was just nominated for that one. So the one he won is even older than that.
Say it's been a long time since his Academy Award was probably relevant in Nicolas Cage's movie career. Yeah. He has done some good stuff. I mean, that film he made with Pedro Pascal, which he basically just played Nicolas Cage, is an amazing film. Yeah. I really do recommend that one. This one, not so much.
The problem I have with the trailer.
It was made in an afternoon. I think the film was made in an afternoon. Not
just that. It's also just the fact that Nick Cage is in it for like a second, and like
he's on screen a lot of the time. He just has zero dialogue.
I reckon we've seen every scene Nick Cage is in the trailer.
Yeah, and that's the problem is that like there's not enough Nick Cage in order for it to work as this is a Nick Cage film. He needs to be on screen for the entire time.
I feel like what we do see of him as well, he is in full Nick Cage psychopath kind of mode, which is always great fun to watch, even if it's not going to win him another Academy Award. Yeah.
But what's happened with Stephen Dorff and Heather Graham's careers is because Nick Cage is known for doing schlocky kind of stuff at the moment, and it's kind of in his wheelhouse that he'll turn up in weird projects like this just because he just picks whatever he wants to do now.
I mean, I like
Stephen Dorff and Heather Graham.
For Nick Cage, his whole rationale for a while was he was bankrupt, so he just took on everything. Yeah. But it's kind of become his brand now. So even though he's no longer bankrupt, he's still doing it.
He's just doing whatever he wants. The script turns up, 20 minutes worth of actual on-screen time. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, my main...
I get to wear some cool sunglasses. I think that was the only thing that won him on this film. We'll make you some sunglasses.
No,
which
I think
look
you brought
like
the sunglasses from home. But anyway, I was surprised to see Heather Graham for the simple fact that I don't think I've seen her in a while.
Look, and Stephen Dorff, the last thing I can actually remember him being anything in was Blade.
Yeah, I mean that's going back a long time as well now. He's been in a few of the bits and pieces, I think.
But yeah, I just wanted to call out the director and writer, Mr. Brian Skiba, because this man has done 39 films since 2007, of which I have heard of none of them, apart from this movie. He did win Best Cinematography at the Silicon Beach Film Festival.
For?
Chokehold.
Ah, yeah, classic.
Why are they bothering with Nick Cage's Academy Award when they could have that in the trailer?
Yes, but I want to go through some of his other film titles quickly. Guns of Redemption.
Is that a prequel to this one?
No, I was wondering.
Oh, okay.
Out of Hand, preceded by Dead Man's Hand. Okay. The Student.
Okay.
Pursuit. An Organised Killer. Obsessed with the Babysitter.
See, an organised killer to me just sounds like we're just watching him like arrange his death.
I mean,
Deadly Excursion, Kidnapped from the Beach.
Yeah.
The Second, Chokehold.
If there isn't a movie called The First.
Yes. Evil Doctor. Running Away.
From the Evil Doctor.
Christmas Truce. Merry Xmas, with X being
how many schlocky Christmas movies has he done? That's amazing.
Crushed Velvet, and what looked like his debut not short movie, Blood Moon Rising.
I reckon a few of these are very, very soft-core erotic thrillers.
Well, when I saw Silicon Beach, I was like,
Yeah. Yes. I mean, all of those titles and this trailer just remind me of like back in the 80s when you couldn't rent the good films that were out and there was a load of like other crap that nobody wanted to watch at the bottom. And those were terrible films, but even better were the terrible films that they trailered beforehand.
The petrol station films.
This very much looks like Ghoulies Go to College or Leprechaun in Space level.
He has also written the vast majority of those films as well. So it seems to be this is kind of Shudder, bargain bin, as
even
you said.
Worse than Shudder. I think this is kind of like you might find it on Pluto TV or Tubi.
Yeah. It's just content, basically, and all of it seems to be around between the 3 to 6 mark on IMDb.
I don't know if he's made this many for this long. I think it is a genuine passion project, but I think it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, yeah, you've got passion. I don't think you've got anything to back it up.
I'm wondering if one of the things that we haven't seen in the trailer is the fact that at some point, some of the female cast, for some unknown reason, lose all of their clothing.
Well,
I
did
think that's
notice
going to
it.
happen.
well, the film before it, sorry to jump in, 6.4 out of 10, which seems to be one of his highest IMDb ratings, starring Casper Van Dien. Ooh, remember him? Starship Troopers?
Okay.
So that was his previous film, and this one's the new film with Nicolas Cage, Stephen Dorff, Heather Graham. Is rated worse than this one.
Well, as well as those three, I believe it also has Sylvester Stallone's daughter.
Yes,
with
Scarlett
some very
Stallone.
period-accurate lip filler.
Considering it's a film called Gunslingers, there didn't seem to be that much gunslinging.
Oh no,
as
there was a lot of it.
There was
Quite a lot of
guns, but
guns.
like, you know, there weren't people
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
There wasn't
Yeah.
any of that kind
There's
of,
a lot of
you
there was a
know.
lot of gun firing in that trailer.
I mean, you know, Quick and the Dead, at least Sam Raimi, that was all kind of like, you
Yeah.
know, proper.
everyone was quick and dead.
Yeah, but
Time to wrap up our trailer roundup. What was your favourite trailer, Lee?
Finally, you know you're going to go with Gunslingers.
Which trailer? Ignore the film. Which trailer entertained you the most?
I think. No, it wouldn't have been Gunslingers because there's not enough Nick Cage going just ham constantly. I think probably just the Naked Gun just for the O.J. Simpson joke, if nothing else.
Sam?
That's got to be Superman.
Keith?
Oh yeah, Superman by a mile.
I think got to be Tron Ares for me. It's just that Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, just that little bit. It's got me interested in the film,
I
and
hope-
that's
you
what
know-
a trailer's supposed to do.
You know, they used to have in the films when they had the cast, and it would say main cast, and then it'd be with,
yeah,
and then a big name, and then and with another big name. I hope they introduce a new system where they have everybody else, and it like has like
No.
and Jeff Bridges, and then the last thing is but Jared Leto.
what they're going to do, Keith, is have 600 chairs in a line over every single cast member for the next. Every single trailer is going to be forward. It's just name on a chair, name on a chair, name on a chair. And then I'll put Jared Leto on a stool at the end.
It's like a child's
Like
high
a
chair.
dunce cap. But yes, so those were the trailers we picked this issue. Let us know which one you preferred in the comments, maybe. Or... Time of the issue where we talk about the One Geek Thing that has been enrapturing our lives since the last issue. So let's kick off with Sam.
So my One Geek Thing this month is a show that I've only got into fairly recently, but it has been going a little while now, which is From. So it's 3 seasons now on Now TV. And I finished the 3rd one this month after my brother very pointedly recommended that I start it. And it's incredibly addictive. It's basically the concept is it's set in a kind of mysterious town, sort of maybe probably somewhere in America. But you can get to it almost on any highway because you drive down the highway, a tree blocks your road, you turn around, and basically you find yourself in this town. But if you try and drive out, the road kind of loops round, and there's actually no way out. And at night, a bunch of creatures appear, and if you're sort of caught out in the open, they will very, very brutally murder you. Like it's surprisingly kind of over the top how much they go to town on people. But you can protect yourself from them by being indoors with a kind of talisman stuck to the wall. So there's lots of little mysteries going on, like how do you get there, why can't you leave, where is it, what's with the monsters, and then some sort of, it's kind of hinted at that there's a driving force behind all the sinister stuff going on that's unseen until there's a character that's introduced right at the very final scene of season 3 that might be the big bad. But it feels very much like Lost in that there's all these mysteries and they do kind of genuinely keep you watching. and trying to kind of piece it all together. It does seem to be introducing them faster than it's answering the questions that you might have.
Very much like Lost.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they do actually have a bit of a roadmap and it's all going to kind of come together and answer them eventually. But yeah, it really has had me hooked. It's also, again, a bit like Lost or Game of Thrones. It's not afraid to kill off major characters. Yeah, there's been quite a few people who've had very unpleasant deaths that were people that I quite liked, and I did feel quite upset about it, which is a good sign, I think, because it does mean that I did care for those characters. So yeah, I'd say 3 seasons, all on Now TV, and very, very bingeable because you just want to know what's happened next.
Yeah, so I was just quickly looking at the showrunner in the background, a guy called John Griffin, who's known for this. Prior to that, he did a film called Crater, I think, and then did 1 episode of the Twilight Zone reboot in 2019. But also created as the writer for the Magic the Gathering show on Netflix, which still hasn't come out yet. After lots of time. So, sounds an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a J.J. Abrams show, but with an actual destination going towards the plot instead of just flashy stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the showrunner's done an episode of Twilight Zone.
Yeah, like just the description of the premise just made me think of like, this sounds like an SCP, which means that I'm interested.
Yeah, I think that concept has been done previously, but it sounds like this is a very good version of it.
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Leigh, on to yourself.
So this one's difficult, but not because like I'm struggling with it, but it's just like I've played so many recent games. I keep acquiring them. Because I've been playing through Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is very good, despite concerns that I might have had about it just because of it being an Assassin's Creed game at this point, and started up Blueprints, which is very interesting. Basically, you're building a house as you're navigating it, and like random rooms and stuff like that. It's very interesting, but the game I'm actually going to talk about is Promise Mascot Agency, which I have mentioned on the show before, where basically you are a Yakuza who you were involved in a deal, 12 billion yen goes missing because of the deal goes wrong. And you are basically banished to this cursed town where you have to run the one remaining business that the family still owns in the town, which is a mascot agency. Because in this world, all those cutesy mascots that you see running around Japan, they're sentient beings. They are not people in suits. And you have to like run the agency to try and get them to appear at events and all this sort of stuff. So you are building this from the ground up. You are in this just, you got like no money, you've got no resources, and you just like, all you've got is your assistant Pinky, who is a giant severed finger mascot, which is appropriate for...
I was wondering if it was a finger,
Yeah.
because it looked very disturbing from the trailer.
There is a nail on the back that gives it away.
It
I know,
doesn't
yeah.
give it away from the front.
I know. But she is very, very enthusiastic about the possibility of killing the mayor. And ultimately, we placate her by saying, maybe you should run against him in the election and beat him in the election instead of killing him. And it is an absolutely bonkers game that is also just incredibly cozy and wholesome at the same time. And I do not know how they've managed to pull that off of like both ends of this.
Because we know you're a big fan of the Yakuza game. Does it give you that kind of weird Japanese itch?
Yes, especially because the protagonist has the same voice actor.
Yeah.
The main character, Michi, is voiced by Takaya Kuroda, who is Kazuma Kiryu in the Yakuza games. Very pointedly, they hired him for that reason. So, because it's actually not a Japanese game; it's a British-made game. So most of the voice cast is like Japanese people that we would know in the UK. Which includes members of the Yakuza cast, Shuei Yoshida, who is the former president of PlayStation. He voices a Kappa who runs an arcade. It's very weird that you just hear his voice coming out of. And there's a few like game directors and stuff who's also just showing up. But basically, you spend most of the game just driving your little K truck around this little town, trying to recruit mascots, and you do need to like have negotiations with them about like what their pay is going to be and what bonuses they're going to get, and then you have to sort of find jobs with various people in the town, and also you do stuff with like the more stuff you do, you can invest in the town, which means that more people come to the town, which means you get more business, and it builds everything up. So like as your business succeeds, the town succeeds as well.
So do you have to make sure like the mascot is appropriate for the job that you're hiring them for?
When you send them out on jobs, you're sort of given like there's 2 symbols on each mascot, and each job has like an associated symbol. It's like you want someone of this type for this job. You can send anyone, but you're going to get much better results if you send like, oh, you want a scary mascot, you want a cutesy mascot. The adult video store has a very specific mascot.
You send the finger for that.
No, she is not allowed to do customer-facing work after incidents in the past that are vaguely hinted at, but we're never allowed to know full details of. The way I described it in my review is that it is a very cozy life sim with a vaguely threatening aura. Because it really is. It is such a weird game, but it's so like it's the kind of game you can just kind of lose yourself in and just kick back and chill with, despite everything just being just weird and just strange. It's from the developers of Paradise Killer, which had a similar sort of vibe, but that was a murder mystery in some weird island outside time and space, and yeah.
So it's quite actually available on quite a few consoles.
It's on pretty much everything, yeah.
Yeah, so PC, Switch, PS5 and Xbox Series. I think it's on Game Pass?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'll have to check. But yeah, it's definitely on Steam and Epic Game Store.
Mm-hmm. It is very, very good. I highly recommend it.
Thank you. Keith, over to yourself.
What have I got? I'm going to go with the one thing that I've been enjoying an awful lot over the last month or so. And it's a series of YouTube videos that have made me very nostalgic for a lot of things from the past. And bizarrely enough, it was done by our very own Leigh. His Astrobot VOP series has been a phenomenal piece of work. I cannot believe how great they are. They're incredibly well researched. The footage that you've put together is brilliant, and it has made me want to revisit so many of the games that I can remember from the kind of, particularly the PlayStation 1 and 2 era of the game. And I can't believe they squeezed all of this into Astrobot, which is just coming off the back of the tech demo that you were talking about earlier. Yeah. But the number of games that I go, oh man, I remember that game, I wish I could still have it. But it's just that whole history lesson of the history of PlayStation and all the great characters and all the great properties and all the great games that have come and gone, particularly some of the ones that may have just been kind of Japanese only. There was, I think it was the PlayStation 2 Mosquito guy,
yes,
was it? And you said that this game is available on PS5. You have made me come so close to ordering a PlayStation 5
just for that game.
Just because there's some games that I'm like, it's those words at the end of each like little segment when you go, is available on PS5. And
the reason I included that is just because it's kind of a throwback to like the 1001 Games thing I did, where it's just like, I want to sort of, if they're celebrating all these games, can you then go and play those games, on the same system? So.
But it's just, I just have to doff my cap at the amount of research and how well presented. It's just great. I mean, if you've got any love for video games at all, and you have any memories of like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, because you go through up to the PlayStation 4, and there's about 8 hours worth of video in this, and it is really, really good. I've been watching it on the train home because I'm like, I need to see what game is next. I'm trying not to look at the list and see if I can guess what it is just from the kind of descriptions. And it's like, oh man, I'm really enjoying this. It is such a trip back through like some of the best gaming moments I can remember and stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm loving it.
chronological order by console as well. Must
Yeah.
have taken forever for you to work out release dates and everything.
That bit was the easy bit, honestly, because it's basically you just go to Wikipedia, see the date, and I just put it on a big spreadsheet, and then just hit sort by date.
But it's just the way you talk about it as well. With obviously those, and particularly those games that you've loved as well. Your enthusiasm for it all comes through.
You can probably tell which games that I really, really enjoy and which ones I've like half-heartedly done out of like, well, this is here and I don't know anything about it.
Here's 10 minutes on Gravity Rush.
Yeah.
Here's a mosquito.
And there's
That one I'm a bit more passionate about because
when you talk about the teenage daughter and that whole sequence there, and the fact that you've included a video clip of like that particular moment, and you just go,
but
this is just great.
Like I think Rise of the Ronin's probably the most obvious where you can tell like I did this in like 5 minutes because I can't be bothered to do any more on this.
Yeah.
This game just came out. It has no legacy. No one's talking about this game.
And it makes me miss all of those kind of video game programs that we used to get, primetime stuff that really kind of. There's a lot of this stuff on the internet and stuff, and a lot of articles. A lot of articles and stuff now on websites are pretty like, they could almost be AI generated. But I've just had such a great time watching these videos.
Well,
it's like
Keith, I'm
really
going to
nice.
give you a jump scare. There is a piece of music in the PS3 episode that is produced by Hans Zimmer.
It's fine. It's all good.
Did that segment?
Just duck the audio for that. Just look at the pictures.
Beyond Two Souls, the soundtrack was produced by Hans Zimmer.
It was only produced by. We can let anything be produced by Hans Zimmer. That's all good. But yeah, I mean, if you have any love for any of the PS5 games and stuff,
I
just
have
grab it.
zero history with PlayStation. I was all a Nintendo, Xbox fanboy. It's been fantastic for me to learn about all the games that I never played as a kid because I never had PlayStation. It's also encouraging me to maybe look at PS5 and kind of catch up and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, it's a great series of videos, and I highly recommend, particularly if you're of a certain age as well. That nostalgia rush is just it's very good. It's a dopamine hit completely.
Awesome. For me, I am going to pick a game set in the north of England. Which,
Thank goodness you're here.
I was going to say, there's been 2 games set in Northern England, weirdly, that have been released recently, which have got a fair bit of acclaim.
Well, thank goodness you're here. Just won Best British Game.
Is it that? Is it the I can't remember the name of the TV show. The Foggy, Cleggy, and what's it?
It is Last of the Summer Wine.
Last of the Summer Wine, yeah.
Last of the Summer Wine. Clan
video
Battles, yeah. But there is actually a reference to Last of the Summer Wine in the game, so it's full of Easter eggs actually, which is quite a nice little segue. Which is game developed by the lovely chaps in Oxford, Rebellion Developments. So it is Atomfall, which has come out on Game Pass at the moment. I believe it is out for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X.
It always baffles me that they're still releasing stuff for the PS4 and the Xbox One.
I think it's because there's not that much difference between the Xbox Series, Xbox One X and the Xbox One S are pretty much exactly the same platform. And PS4 is still a fairly decent console, 4K 60 roughly.
Yeah, but it sounds like an airplane whenever it runs anything like that.
But basically, so this is set in alternative history Cumbria in the UK. So what happened was there was an actual real event, which was the Windscale fire in 1957, which basically nuclear power plant, fire happened, some radiation leak. I think it was the worst nuclear disaster in the UK until Sellafield. And then, so basically it's gone alternative history of what if it went really wrong. So basically the Lake District has been cordoned off. So you wake up in this area, no knowledge of who you are, no knowledge of your past. Feels very Fallouty basically, similar kind of vibe to that. And then it's your job to go and investigate what's happened and find your way out of it. And there's villages, there's alternative troops, there's cultists, druids, outlaws wearing bowler hats and carrying cricket bats, wearing knee pads.
I know when I did my write-up for our Games Roundup, I described it as you going up against the violent inhabitants of the British North and also all the new threats that have been added.
Yeah, but it's kind of a really kind of British Fallout is what it's being billed as, and so it's kind of that RPG, open exploration, Really different leveling system, the way they've done it, which is the Bard scheme, which is instead of having this traditional kind of level 1, level 2, level 3, you earn points/tokens, I can't remember how it is, and then you invest those into particular skill sets, be they stealth, health, fighting, armor, etc.
I will say that there's the obvious Fallout connection, but I've seen other people compare it to Stalker as well.
Yeah.
Very similar. So in fact, I saw someone describe it as, instead of Stalker Shadow over Chernobyl, they've described it as Wanker Shadow over Cumbria. with Wanker spelled in all caps with the dots with an acronym. Yeah.
But yeah, it's got, it wears its British heart on its sleeve quite a lot. As I said, there's quite a lot of 70s sci-fi tropes built into it. As I said, the influence in the game include Quatermass Experiment, The Prisoner, Doctor Who, Wicker Man, Day of the Triffids. Leans really heavily into that British folklore, 70s weird sci-fi kind of thing. And it's fun. It's not a massive game world, and it's built on the Sniper Elite engine. So if you played Sniper Elite, you know roughly what the size of the maps are going to be. I think there's 4 or 5 distinct areas, including the village of Wyndham. Wonder where they got that name from. There's the woody bit, which is where all the Wickerman stuff happens. There's this big bunker, which is the interconnected space, which is the main kind of driving force.
Yeah, I've seen footage
storyline.
of the Wicker Men.
Yeah.
Just casually collecting ammo from inside a Wicker Man.
Yeah. But it's got about 15 to 20 hours if you're just playing the main story and a bit of the sidelines, and I think it's about 30 hours max if you're doing it. So it's a good game to play through if you want to do something quick. Keith, you had a quick blast on it?
Yeah, I've played probably the first couple of hours worth. And it's quite nice. You know, it works on a slightly different system because you're kind of like, you're not given like waypoints and stuff as such. It's kind of like alluded to.
Yeah,
you might want to go and might want to go and think about this or whatever it is. So you're kind of given like by NPCs will say something, or you'll overhear things, and it's like, oh, do I investigate that? It's not kind of driven in the same way as another game is.
Yeah. And very creepy phone calls, weirdly.
Yeah.
So you walk past a phone box and it will start ringing, and then you pick up the phone and there's a very creepy voice at the other end. It sounds like somebody from the British TV in the 70s basically ringing you up.
Yeah. But it looks quite good, you know, it looks decent enough, plays well enough. I'm kind of just getting my head around how it all works. And I kind of run into a bit of trouble with like getting battered by 60 weirdos.
Well, it's because it's Sniper Elite, it's really based on the stealth engine of you're not this superhuman god like you are in most kind of RPG games. It is you just a bloke with a cricket bat, and if 30 blokes want to beat the crap out of you, they're going to beat the crap out of you.
I do have to say there's been a couple of times where I've been like swearing after like a very stupid death.
I have seen that that Cornish pasties are a healing item.
Yes, they are. So, as is tradition.
Yeah.
And
Not
potatoes, lots of potatoes. Tea is great as well. There's lots of tins of tea that you can pick up. But yeah, I would recommend, just if you've got any kind of British love and British humour, have a watch. There is tons of geeky Easter eggs in there as well.
And there's like 4 or 5 different endings, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a Reliant Supervan at one point, just to give you the kind of feel of what kind of Easter eggs are in there. So, worth having a play, especially if you've got Xbox Game Pass. I mean, it's pretty much free if you want to do that. So, to recall what we did on One Geek Thing, Sam?
From
Leigh?
Promise Mascot Agency.
Keith?
Lee's VIP Astrobot series.
And for me, Atomfall. Thank you for joining us on this issue of Geeky Brummie. As you can see, probably from the stuff that we have, we're around Easter time, so I have splurged the budget, and you know my love of tiny things, so I've bought you all an Easter egg. So there you go.
wow.
Do you want to pick one for Keith?
This is fascinating, honestly.
Is this just a mini egg in tinfoil?
It is basically a small
The
chocolate egg.
world's smallest Easter egg. Now that sounds like a challenge.
I mean, I don't want you guys, I know we're all kind of too much chocolate at Easter, so I thought I'd give you a treat. But
Does anybody know the Heimlich manoeuvre? Because I've got a feeling.
well, I thought it would go with your mini consoles that we've had and the mini TV in the past, and they actually do fit quite nicely with the one-piece figures. They're probably on scale.
To scale with one piece figures.
I mean, mean, look at the size of it. It's just like the size of a Gundam. These are massive Easter eggs. Yes. So happy Easter to all who are watching. Leigh, where can we find you online?
You can find me on YouTube at Bob Pet Parrot, where, well, Keith's already kind of covered that. And you can also find me on Blue Sky at Bob Pet Parrot as well, where you can sort of get links to various freelance stuff that I do over time. And also on Fridays, you can find me on geekybrummie.com doing the games roundup. This week I decided to give it to 2 separate games because there are too many good games coming out at the moment. It's ridiculous.
It's nice that we're in that phase of good games
And
again.
most of them are smaller as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as the AAA is just kind of falling apart, like, everyone else is picking up the slack and it's great.
Awesome. Sam, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Sorry, not Twitter. Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads at SDEdwards89, and also on the Geeky Brummie website every Thursday, doing the film roundup.
Keith, how about yourself?
Yeah, mostly just come and find me on Blue Sky under Hard Look Hotel. There are other places, and if you look for Hard Look Hotel, it's probably going to be me. And then Wednesdays, I'm back now with the Wednesday comics, which is my pick of the slightly smaller publisher titles, although that's slightly ridiculous when you think of Image. Massive, they're massive. I don't know why we're still calling them indie, but still. So that's every Wednesday on the Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, and on the website.
Awesome, thank you. And you'll find me at Ryan Parish on Blue Sky. And you'll find us all at Geeky Brummie on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, geekybrummie.com. If you're watching us, you're probably watching us on YouTube, so hello. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click the bell, all that crap at the bottom. And if you're listening to us on podcast form, don't forget we also do a video form, which probably makes more sense for some of the content on this episode if you've not watched it. If you're hearing it, not watching it. But yeah, if podcast of choice. Thank you very much. We shall see you again soon. But for now, goodbye.
Chatty bye, folks.
This issue of Geeky Brummie was presented by Ryan Parish with Keith Bloomfield, Leigh Price and Sam Edwards. It was produced by Matt Lovell and executive produced by Vivian Parish. This is a Geeky Brummie production.